Good morning, chemistry students. Let's start by getting logged into Clever. So I would like you guys, if you're comfortable, to share a holiday season tradition that you or your family or your friends take part in every year. Cool. Thanks for sharing. My family makes this delicious breakfast casserole every holiday, and I am so looking forward to eating it. So this is lesson 31 of week 16. It is the last lesson of 2020. It is crazy we've gotten here. We're continuing to talk about valence electrons and Lewis dot structures. So some reminders as we close out this semester. Continue to work on assignments and check assignments for grades, for comments, for returns. Check your ed puzzles that they're getting all the way done, that you haven't skipped or missed something. Because we are approaching the end of the semester, and the grade that you have at the end of the semester is the one that goes into your permanent grades for your high school career. So I really want to make sure that you guys are taking care of that. If you see something that seems off, or if you have a question about it, please do not be afraid to reach out and ask me. I'm human and might mess up or might miss something. So you commenting and advocating for yourself is really important for me to make sure that I'm taking care of it. Remember our expectations. Remember to use your resources. So especially after like today, we have a quiz. Don't be afraid to use your notes, to use your assignments, to use your periodic table. Take advantage of that, and so that you can do the best that you can on that assignment. Looking forward, remember that you have the opportunity to do any and all makeup work as long as I get it in by January 10th. It doesn't matter if you've not done a single assignment up to this point. You can go back and do any of those, and you will receive credit for them. So if you're not feeling great about your grade, there is a ton of time for you to figure that out and do those assignments to work up to get your grade to passing. So January 10th is not the end of the semester. That is a week before the semester ends. The last week, there will be an additional assignment that you can do to help improve your grade. But over this break, with your extra time of not having classes, and maybe if you're like, I need to get away from my family and all of that, maybe doing this makeup work might be something productive for you. So don't give up. Keep working, keep being diligent, and you can do it. So like I said, this week we're talking about valence electrons, particularly what are called Lewis dot diagrams. And the only real new assignment that you have after today's lesson 31 is a check for understanding quiz. It's a little bit longer than our usual quizzes, but you'll be just fine. So as always, make sure you have a periodic table open. That's really important as we are looking at valence electrons, because you have to use the periodic table to figure out how many valence electrons something has. So let's start with this warm-up. These are two visualizations of a carbon atom. Can you tell me something that you see that is similar or the same about each of these? So many people mentioned that they're both carbons, and that they both would then therefore have six protons, because that's what a carbon has. Also, many of you noticed that there are 4 electrons, or that there are electrons that are being represented in both of these models. The 4 electrons in that second shell, the outside shell, are represented here in our Lewis dot. Now let's take a look what is different about each of these two models. So the Bohr model here is way more detailed. It shows the protons, the neutrons, it shows all of the electrons, all 6 of them, versus our Lewis dot over here just shows the outside electrons. It just shows those 4 valence electrons. Both are very useful, both are helpful and valuable. However, for what we're going to be talking about next, which is bonding, the Lewis dot diagram is way more useful because it's way faster, it's quicker to draw, it's easier to visualize, and it just shows the electrons that we're interested in, the electrons that are out on the outside, those valence electrons that are available to bond. So continuing to compare these two, our Bohr model shows the total number of electrons as well as our protons and neutrons, as well as the number of electrons in each of the shells and how many shells it has. Our Lewis diagram just has the symbol in the middle, and then the electrons are represented, the valence electrons are represented in the dots that you draw around the outside of the symbol. So the key things that we learned from our lesson last week is that the dots represent the valence electrons. The electrons go in pairs on all 4 sides, and that the electrons have to be placed on each side first before they get paired up. Okay, so these numbers and how they're placed, that's a really important thing, especially as we move to talk about bonding, because it allows us to visualize electrons that don't have a pair. So let's do a couple practice. What is the Lewis dot diagram for xenon? Remembering we have to first look on our periodic table and figure out how many valence electrons this element has, and then describe and visualize how those electrons are going to be placed around the xenon. So our correct answer is that it has 8 valence electrons. It's in that far right column, a noble gas. So that means that there's going to be two electrons on each side, top, right, bottom, left, adding up to 8 total. All right, let's try this step for nitrogen. So first, how many valence electrons does it have? And then which is the correct Lewis structure? So nitrogen has 5 valence electrons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can't have 2 and 2 and then 1. There has to be 1 on each side first before they get paired up. All right, our last example is barium. How many valence electrons? And then what is the correct structure? So barium is in the second column. It's an alkaline earth metal, so it has 2 valence electrons. Visualized with these 2 valence electrons. They cannot be paired together. You have to have 1 on each, 1 on a side before they get paired. All right, so that was the key thing that we needed to make sure we were ready to do and feeling comfortable with. If you are good with that, then you are good on assignment number 70, which was the assignment posted after our lesson on Tuesday or Wednesday. And then you should be totally fine on the Check for Understanding quiz, that number 71 that was just posted. To send you out of here, I wanted to share some other cool science news. If you've never heard of Kizzmekia Corbett, she is one of the lead scientists that was involved in developing this new COVID-19 vaccine. She's 34 years old. She has a PhD in microbiology, focusing on virology, so the study of viruses and how to create vaccines. And of this team of all different kinds of people, she has been a really, really integral part, and actually has been specifically called out for her incredible contributions. And this just makes me think about our beginning of the semester, where we were thinking about what does a scientist look like. It just shows that a scientist is not just that old white guy that you think of in a lab coat. She is an incredibly intelligent and hardworking and vital part to our country getting back to normal and us getting back to school together. So like I said, number 71 is our Check for Understanding quiz. That's the only new assignment. So again, this week, as I told you, was pretty light. So please start taking advantage of this extra time to get any other work done. So to finish out, how are you feeling heading into break? I hope you're feeling all right, and I hope that you're able to have a restful, productive, and safe break with your friends and family. So have a lovely time. Stay safe. Frail, stay safe. Don't do anything silly. And I'll see you guys in about 2 weeks. Thanks. Have a good one.